Alright, here are some of my large Panzers, and I wanted to show you the differences between them so you can identify a large Panzer. First we got a Model A. These were only built in 1954 in College Park, Maryland, so the Copar is College Park. And it shared that through 1960 when Virginia Metal Crafters bought Copar. The Model A has a couple of characteristics to it that distinguish it from the T102s, which are over here. First of all, it has a serial number on the frame rail just behind the front casting. This is 204. They only made about 350 of these in College Park. Second, it will have cast iron engine pulleys. That's a cast iron one. This is a replacement. It's an aluminum one. So they should be both cast iron, but a lot of them were replaced because they were not very durable. When I got this tractor, this whole jack shaft assembly had been replaced. But on the College Park ones, they say College Park, Maryland, as opposed to Laurel, Maryland. Okay, so even though it says Mod A on other ones that say Laurel, they just use the same casting, but they changed the College Park to Laurel. This is an NOS piece that I bought for this tractor. The NOS pieces were available in part stock, so you might have a T102 that actually has a College Park. But it has to have those characteristics. It has to have the cast iron pulley, it has to have a serial number there, and it has to say College Park. And you'll notice that there's no support in here. I'll show you that on another tractor. These welds right here would break underneath. I had to repair this one when I was restoring it. This one's all powder coated. The Model A's also had this was all painted white, so you could see where the wheel was facing forward. I guess they didn't do that on the T102, is my understanding. This one is a T102. It's circa 56 or so, I'm guessing. I'm trying to figure out what engine is on it, because the engine on a Model 23, which was built up to 1957, this is a 23A, I believe. So the shroud is at least a 23A. Actually, it's a 23 engine with a 23A shroud. The difference is in the magneto. This one has a magneto internal to the flywheel, like this one probably does. That's the actual shroud that should be on the tractor. So I know this is a 23 engine. It's in a newer chassis. So I'm going to do a swap of them. So this one has the open shroud right here. You'll find ones with electric start that have a clutch mechanism on there. Okay, so the T102 looks the same. Some of them, the older ones, have a serial number right here. This one was 1943, 1943. My understanding is they didn't keep very good records and changed the numbering system several times, so it's really hard to date based on a serial number. It also says Laurel, Maryland. Now it also says Model A right here, but that doesn't make it a Model A. This one has cast aluminum engine pulley and drive pulley. To date it, if you had the original engine and had a number plate on it, which this one does not, it should be right here. it would tell you the oldest the tractor could be, because if it's the original engine, it can't be any older than the engine. These were used on the older tractors up to 58 to mount springs to for the front blade. And so a tension spring will go down to the front blade. In 1958, they drilled a hole. It's a 9/16 threaded hole in the nose to make that a central location. Because if you've used one like I have with these, it's very difficult to angle the blade because you have to retension it. It changes the length of the springs. With a central location and an eye hook, the springs are on the same pivot point. Much easier. So this T102 is a newer one because of this. So 1958 they started with the hole. In, I believe, July 1958 they put a reinforcement in here for the pinion. It's a snubber. So it's to keep the torque of the axle, keep the pinion from climbing and fatiguing the welds at the bottom of the frame. You'll see that most of these Chrysler rear ends leaked. And they leak because either they're cracked at the frame, or they leak out of the bolt holes, or they leak out of the gasket or the pinion. This one's actively leaking, so I know it has oil in it. So that's a newer T102, about 1958. It has a Model 23 engine on, so I know it's an older engine replacement. It was restored previously, there's different tires on it. This is my pulling tractor. I have different tires on it that I used to use for plowing snow. It has a newer Kohler engine in it, but it also has the reinforcement between the frame rails. So I know it's July 1958 or newer. And it doesn't have a hole here, but with the custom paint job that was done, you can kind of see right there where the hole was. It was filled in with body putty. This also says Laurel, Maryland on the casting. So I hope that helps. Again, I think this started as a T205 because I have a wide front end that I believe I got with it. But with a single front end, it's a T102, as is this one. This is the older, probably 56 vintage, maybe 57. Depends on the engine. If that's the original engine, it's probably a 57 if that's a Model 23A, because that's when the engine started. This is a T102, 58 minimum, July 58 production minimum. They made them until about 59 as 1960 models, but they didn't sell many in 60. On the newer versions, they had this engine plate was rubber mounted or isolated. This one's solid. So they had engine mounts that went right here and on the other side. And this is an engine cradle that would minimize vibration. Alright, if you have any questions, panzertractors.com.